Hey guys, JDR Exospace here. So there's this new story that's breaking right now. Apparently, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is attempting to push legislation to declassify documents related to UAP in an attempt to encourage the government, and particularly the Pentagon Defense Department, to release what information they have about UAPs. So I found this article in New York Times, and you know they always get it right. Bipartisan measure aims to force release of UFO records. Legislation backed by Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, would create a review board to declassify documents related to unidentified aerial phenomena across the government. So Senator Chuck Schumer, Senate Majority Leader, is pushing legislation to create a commission with broad authority to declassify government documents about UFOs and extraterrestrial matters, in an attempt to force the government to share all that it knows about unidentified phenomena. The measure offers the possibility of pushing back against the conspiracy theories that surround discussions of UFOs and fears that the government is hiding critical information from the public. The legislation, which Mr. Schumer will introduce as an amendment to the annual defense policy bill, has bipartisan support, including that of Senator Mike Rounds, Republican of South Dakota, and Senator Marco Rubio, Republican of Florida, who has championed legislation that has forced the government to release a series of reports on UAP. Senator Marco Rubio is one of those that's been kind of at the forefront of these stories as they're developing. He seems to be on the side of full disclosure, or at least disclosing what he can, but support in the House is also likely. On Wednesday, the chamber included a narrower measure in its version of the annual defense bill that would push the Pentagon to release documents about UAP. So the way that this would work is apparently President Biden would appoint the 9-person review board subject to Senate approval, and this would be kind of set up the way that the JFK Commission was. Interest in UFOs has always been high, but it's grown even more since a collection of videos showing unidentified phenomena recorded by military sensors was made public, and naval aviators described hard-to-explain events while on training missions. And that's referring to some of those videos, some of which we've seen, like the USS Nimitz and like David Fravor's story and like the Tic Tac videos, many of which we have not seen. They have not been revealed to the public yet. Only Congress is seeing these behind closed doors in these subcommittees. Some of the videos released by the Pentagon have been explained as optical illusions or drones, but others remain unexplained and the object of much speculation. Under pressure from Congress, the Pentagon and intelligence agencies have gathered hundreds of reports of unexplained phenomena. Officials have said most of the unexplained incidents are airborne trash, Chinese spying efforts, or errant weather balloons. American officials have repeatedly said none of the videos collected appears to be evidence of alien visitation. Of course, they're going to say that. It is hard to know how many unreleased documents exist in government archives. Intelligence agencies have said repeatedly that they have released the material they have. BS. Their Freedom of Information offices are constantly deluged with requests for materials and UFOs, only to be met with responses that the archives have been released. Now, this is an important point because if a lot of the David Grush whistleblower stories are true, and other whistleblowers, most of these alien bodies, extraterrestrial vehicles, if they exist, are in the hands of private contractors. They're not in the hands of government offices. So if you file a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act request, you're not going to get government documents because there are no government documents. Still more recent work, particularly by the Pentagon, has not been made public, and the reticence of some government agencies to produce records has frustrated both Democratic and Republican lawmakers. For example, various Pentagon task forces have conducted extensive studies on videos taken by naval aviators and other military personnel that have remained secret. Some work on the videos has been released, including at a recent NASA meeting. In some cases, officials believe disclosures could reveal the capability of classified optics and sensors. But in cases in which no formal conclusion has been reached, officials have been reluctant to share information on their deliberations or theories. And that's what they always fall back on is, oh, this is top secret because it might reveal some kind of military secret. It might reveal some kind of technology we have that China or Russia wants to know. They want to know about our capabilities, so we can't release these videos to the public. And that's clearly been working for a long time, but I think we're kind of getting to the point where even senators and congressmen are getting frustrated at how much they're getting stonewalled here. It is the reluctance to share all that is known about the incidents that are not completely understood that has fueled endless speculation on social media, in television specials, and public debates, and I guess I'm responsible for some of that, but no apologies. The new legislation is modeled on the commission that oversaw the release of information about JFK's assassination. This legislation, passed in 1992, has been imperfect, and both the release and withholding of documents have continued through the Biden administration. So this is a really important detail and why I don't want people to get their hopes up on this. They had a JFK commission to kind of get to the bottom of exactly what happened and whether the CIA was involved and what their knowledge may have been. And that commission was 30 years ago. JFK's assassination was 60 years ago at this point. Everybody involved is dead. If the CIA was involved in an assassination, they're all dead. They're all gone. So the only reason for not fully disclosing what actually happened is not protecting individuals at this point, is protecting the institution, is protecting the intelligence agency themselves. They're very sensitive about how they appear in the public eye because how they appear in the public eye affects how much money they get in their budget. So I don't expect a similar commission that's expecting the DOD, the Pentagon, all these intelligence agencies to come forward with what they know about top secret technology that we are allegedly still working on to this day, if they haven't released files from an assassination of our president for over 60 years ago. Still, the Kennedy Assassination Review Board has forced the release of thousands of pages of documents, and lawmakers believe the approach could work here. Under Mr. Schumer's legislation, the president could decide to delay material the commission has chosen to release, based on national security concerns, but the measure would establish a timetable to release documents and codify the presumption that the material should be public. And again, all they have to do here is say national security, and then they don't ever have to release anything. And this is really getting to the bottom of why I spend so much time covering whistleblower accounts on this channel, is because I really fundamentally believe that the only way we're ever going to get to the bottom of what's actually gone on with UFOs and extraterrestrial contact is through whistleblowers. Clearly, these organizations as a whole do not want to disclose any of this information. It's highly protected, highly secret. They haven't just been sitting around going, oh, well, we would have loved to tell everybody, but, departments don't really talk to each other, and you know how it goes. That is not what's happening here. They are highly protective of these secrets, and they are not going to release them. So I really think at this point it's up to brave individuals in these organizations to come forward with what they know and bring receipts. Government officials have repeatedly said they do not have the remains of a crashed alien spacecraft or any manufactured material of extraterrestrial origins. Of course they have. Those assertions have been challenged by some former officials who believe the government is not divulging all that it knows. The legislation would likely force more details of the government's study of unknown materials to be released, but it also gives the federal government the power to claim any crashed spaceships in private or corporate hands, however unlikely that such things exist. The New York Times just can't help it sometimes. They just got to stick that in there. Oh, however unlikely. How can you say that it's unlikely at this point, given just the video evidence that's been released in these closed-door sessions and just to the public? Something's going on, and most of us don't know what it is. And News Nation has also reported on this story, and if you haven't been following News Nation, I highly recommend it because they have been excellent at their UFO coverage and staying on top of all these whistleblower claims and any new developments in Congress. But they also report that the House Minority Leader supports this as well, the Democratic Minority Leader in the House. And there seems to be enough support in the House for something like this to get passed. I don't want to get everybody's hopes up because I don't know how much it's going to accomplish. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said Friday at a weekly press conference that he supports transparency when it comes to classified information regarding UFOs. While Jeffries said he has not been briefed on any information related to the subject of UFOs this year, he said he believes that any information that is enlightening and can be put into the public domain should be. I do support transparency to the extent this information can be put into the public domain that is enlightening, one way or the other, and perhaps is able to dismiss some of the conspiracy theories that exist in our society. That is certainly something that I support. Now, I don't know whether to be personally offended by that statement about all this being a conspiracy theory. I'm just looking at the evidence that we have available to us and attempting to draw conclusions from what I have. Now, this is the part of the story I'm going to be monitoring closely. House Oversight Committee Chair Rep. James Comer said he will try to hold a hearing about UFOs later this month. Now, there's a lot more interest in Congress right now, and even though the politicians don't always get things done, if they're talking about it, we're at least moving in the right direction, especially with David Grush coming forward and having unimpeachable credentials. It's now getting harder and harder and harder to deny the validity of some of these claims and what the government may or may not know. But anyway, I'm going to be following these stories closely and trying to keep you updated as best as possible. And hey, do me a favor. I am very, very close to being monetized on this channel. I'm very grateful to you all because you've helped me build this channel really rapidly. And I have the viewership to get monetized, and I just need help getting that subscriber count up so that I can actually start getting paid to bring this content to you guys. So I'd really appreciate it if you could just hit the subscribe button to help build the support for this channel so we can keep bringing these videos to you. And I will catch you on the next one.